Problematic. Problematic. The feminist part of my brain is screaming. No! Run! No. But then the other part is like, stay. See what happens. It might be fun. Okay, this book was difficult for my cynical butt to read, and trigger warning ahead regarding sexy stuff with a hint of violence, cause some people are into that. Hello everyone, and welcome back to the Neverland Book Club. Today, I'd like for you to imagine, for a moment, if you can, you're a princess. A modern day princess. So more like the daughter of a mob boss rather than an actual princess, but a princess in status amongst the community nonetheless. Your marriage prospects are already limited to those among your own status. The dating pool for you is based on money before you even have a chance to fall in love, so you don't expect the Queen of Hearts to be dealt in your hand to begin with. But because you live in a fairy tale, after paying your dues and being captured and held in a high tower, you do find love, because it's just what happens to princesses. Which you are. I created a roller coaster for myself, going back and forth, up and down, loopity-loop, trying to form one solid opinion about enjoying this book or not. Truth is, yes, I enjoyed it. I read it all the way through since the story was quite intriguing. However, that being said, I've read this story many times before. It is really nothing new or original. Parallels between The Kiss Thief and other intense romance titles, such as 50 Shades of Grey, like down to the sociological characteristics of the leading male character, including his relationship with both adopted and birth parents. Yeah, same thing. As well as its inspiration, Twilight. Still, with the adopted parents and the dark and gloomy sexy pale boys. Even Beauty and the Beast has numerous parallels. And don't let me forget the #1 Netflix hit, and I see you in my watch again roll 365 days. I have no shame. Stockholm Syndrome is just too captivating a tool.
Do you think your parents should watch 365 Days?
No, I don't think they should watch this video. I won't send it to them, and they won't know it's out. Allow me to break down The Kiss Thief by Shen for you, and of course, spoilers are ahead. A young woman of 19, Francesca Rossi, is the loyal and pure daughter of an Italian mafia lord in Chicago. Never been kissed, Francesca dreams of falling in love and starting her life with the son of an equally powerful Italian Chicago mob family, Angelo, uniting their family forces. However, on the night of a masquerade, of course, when Francesca is supposed to kiss her true love for the first time, she finds Angelo's mask and they kiss and there are fireworks and oh my gosh, golly, nothing has ever felt so magical. Come to find, the one she just kissed was not Angelo at all, but an imposter wearing Angelo's mask. Senator Wolf Keating, a 30-year-old politician she despises and who despises her in return. But wait, oh no. Prophesied by letters from brides before her, the first man she kisses is said to be her true love, and it was stolen by a thief. Later, she returns home to find her parents frantically entertaining an unknown guest. It's Senator Keating, and he's here for her. He places a ring on her finger, tells her to pack a bag, and declares they shall be married by the end of the month. Kidnapped, she finds herself in a lavish mansion with an entire wing to herself, clothes provided for her, food brought to her room, which she declines for days, hunger striking her captivity. She finds comfort in the older woman housekeeper, Sterling, who advises her to basically give in. Love him and your life will be easy, sweetheart. Happy husband, happy life spend. There's a reason why that saying is the other way around. After some time of learning to navigate the relationship, Francesca finds that her sudden engagement was a ploy against her father. The senator sees her as a child, a pawn that can be used to push his own agenda against the head of the Rossi family, an object that, in his own words, not mine, if you open your mouth in my presence, it better be to my paraphrased, so a little bit mine. It's gross. This is why I didn't immediately enjoy the book. Wolf's character is disgusting, misogynistic, egomaniacal, narcissistic, referencing his manhood too many times with too much pride. Quite presidential, actually, which makes sense. Claiming that eating a lady's magical parts is degrading and demeaning because he has to physically lower himself to do so. If you are my mother or father, please go away. But then later he ends up doing it all the time, night and day, to show Francesca how much she means to him. I don't know. Another exhausting trope is the concept of Francesca's virginity. Wolf believes the initial lies she tells him about sleeping with everyone in Chicago, because why wouldn't he? She's an attractive, young, and vibrant woman with lines out the door for one dance with her at the masquerade ball. So he believes her when she claims to have slept with Angelo, the one she truly loves. But after their flirtations and finally warming up to one another, she assures him such things are not true. After a misunderstanding at their engagement soiree orchestrated by her father and Angelo himself, Wolf believes she has now cheated on him with her former lover, which she didn't, because, you know, she's a virgin and all. So naturally, Wolf decides to sleep with her himself to teach her a lesson, because that makes perfect sense. I didn't like it. He claims he won't take her by force, that she has to ask for it, which is actually a very common tool of coercion with attackers, so yeah. So she does, and she knows what's about to happen, and the story is narrated in first person through Francesca's point of view in half of the chapters and Wolf's perspective in the other half, and Francesca is speaking at this point, and she describes the pain of losing her virginity as more than a physical pain. It's a shamed pain. Once Wolf sees the blood and realizes what has happened, he tries to stop, but she kind of forces him to finish, teaching him a lesson in reverse. Somehow, This unfortunate encounter actually bonds them further, since she's quite quick to forgive him due to his apologetic tongue. Wolf also learns to trust her word, which, you know, he should have before when she told him multiple times that she did not in fact sleep with Angelo. But then she did tell him before that she did, so I don't... She's like the girl who cried virginity. Anyway, more reasons why I didn't like the novel. Francesca's helplessness, and her learning not to be so helpless. She learns how to drive and start to attend college, things her father thought she was too weak and useless and stupid to do. His words. Like, really, her dad is an abusive piece of shit. There are car chases where she's driving, misinterpreted smooches in the rain, and unwanted and unplanned pregnancies. Endless, unoriginal ideas. Francesca's character grows into herself, and she finds the ability to stand up to her father as well as her husband at times. She goes from a lady in the streets to a freak in the sheets, and grows into her faux independence since, you know, she was literally kidnapped. I mean, saved from one man's house to another. But Wolf claims in the end she is the most important thing to him. He is willing to do anything for her, and despite his rough exterior, he is actually quite the Prince Charming or some bullshit like that. I was actually surprised to know this book was written by a woman. Nothing against LJ Shen. We all, as adults, are entitled to our kinks and should never be shamed for them when practiced with consent. But that's the issue here. She writes consent in vague terms and describes her main heroine as a form of property to be exchanged and extorted. This makes me question if books like this help or hurt society. If a young woman were to read this too young or even just too naive, would it contribute in shaping a perhaps false perception of sexuality? Putting more importance on a woman's virginity than her consent? If a young man were to read it, would he feel even more entitled to a woman as he may have before? When portraying sensitive topics in fiction, I believe the author is responsible for the interpretation of their work to a degree. It cannot be argued in a court of law that a murderer who designed his attack based on a book is to the fault of the author that wrote it, but wait, can it? That is a real question. I don't know. I suppose it's along the same lines of violent video games causing more violence in society, which is, I think, a debunked notion. Or porn in general. Honestly, I don't think LJ Shen was thinking about impacting society when she wrote this book. I think she simply had a story to tell, and she has every right to write her stories. Okay, yes, I'm ragging on it a little. Just because I didn't see this as anywhere near realistic in terms of a love story, which is why I guess it's fiction. So I can't blame it too much for setting unrealistic expectations for daughters of Chicago Italian mob families. It's just the princess in the tall tower being saved by a man slaying a dragon when her father, and the same man who holds true love's first kiss, it's all so medieval, which I guess is exactly what some people want. It wasn't a bad book, don't get me wrong. It was well written, even poetic at times. It's just not something I think I'll find myself fantasizing about anytime soon. However, if you are looking for something more along the lines of erotic fiction, I must say, some chapters did have me blushing. Hi, Mom. My mother is the one who gave me 50 Shades of Grey. She said, here, Nado, you like this.
Did she know what was in it?
Yeah, she read it.
Oh.
She had read it on a plane, and I don't think she finished it, though. I think she said, like, it's not for me, but maybe you like it. Thanks, Mom. So, who should read The Kiss Thief by L.J. Shen? Adults. Adults can read this. I don't know about should, but they can. Not children. Not teenagers. This is definitely heavily rated R. Or X-rated, or whatever. Adult rated. Rated M for mature. Though even as an adult, this might be a bit insulting. So adults who specifically enjoy reading smut with no interest in the more grand philosophical questions of life and purpose. If you're generally reading for a saucy time, then yes, this book is for you. As long as everyone is aware that this is fiction and shouldn't be taken to a literal sense of blurring the lines of consent and treating anyone as property. The story can be enjoyed for what it is and what it brings to the table. A healthy dose of sexual content. Alright, that's all I have for you guys today. I hope you liked this video. If so, please go ahead and give it a thumb. Unless you're into that, no shame. As always, links to all forms of this novel can be found below, including a free Audible trial. Listening to it can be, can make you blush even more.
Oh, did you?
I did.
Oh.
Yes. I remember I slowed down the narration. What did she say? oh, really? Today's shout out goes to Face Lilo. Thank you for your comment. I tried reading Game of Thrones before watching the series years and years and years ago. And after the first book, I simply could not waste my time any longer and was tired of trying to avoid spoilers to the show, so I abandoned the effort and just watched instead. The show is immeasurably better than the books, in my personal opinion. At least the first book. Except for the last season of the show, that was just absolute mess of disappointment, but that's a discussion for another time. Maybe a live show discussion at some point. Comment down below if you prefer reading before or after watching a show, and don't forget to click that bell to be notified when we post a new video every week. Alright, stay lost, keep reading. Now be gone, you pickpocketing smoocher! Goodbye! Oh, would you like to steal a kiss?
Oh.